Guys. So when we last left off in our book, um, Meg and Aiden were on their way to Boston. They escaped the hospital. They jumped on a moving ambulance and got out of the hospital without anyone seeing them, and then they were able to escape from that. And they boarded the bus to Boston. So now they are on their way there and hoping to find Aunt Jane, and then hopefully she will be able to tell them some more information. So we are on chapter 6, so just sit back and relax as I read. Okay? Agent Emmanuel Harris of the FBI took a sip from the steaming cup and nearly gagged. Ugh, what passed for coffee in these small town police stations tasted more like raw sewage. Hadn't these people ever heard of Starbucks? Chief Baumgartner of the Colchester PD hooked his thumbs in his pants pockets. What do you say, Harris? Time to take down the roadblocks? Harris barely had the strength to shake his head. It was nearly 3 in the morning, except for 90-minute cat nap on a too short cot in one of the holding cells. He'd been going nonstop for 48 hours. It's too soon. Can't be too soon for me, the chief informed him. A department our size hasn't got the manpower for this kind of operation. Unless, he added, you bureau hotshots want to send us some extra bodies to work the checkpoints. Harris did his best to fold his 6'7" frame into a chair designed for someone half his size. I wish I could. This case isn't under FBI jurisdiction. It belongs to juvenile corrections. So what's the big deal about a couple of kids, even if their names happen to be Falconer? Baumgartner's face turned suddenly urgent. You don't think they're working for their folks, do you? Finishing what their parents started? No, no, nothing like that, Harris said with a sigh. How could he ever explain it? That Emmanuel Harris, the hero who had brought to justice the most notorious traitors of the past half century, lay awake nights wondering if the right people were in prison. The FBI was certain that John and Louise Falconer were guilty. Harris wished he shared their confidence. And that wasn't the only thing weighing on his mind. If John and Louise Falconer turned out to be innocent, that meant their son and daughter were on the run, risking their lives thanks to the Bureau's mistake. Thanks to Harris's mistake. How about 12 more hours, he bargained. We've got them. I can feel it. How could they get past those roadblocks? One of the younger officers hung up the phone. Chief, that was Tom Vickers out on Route 3. Says his quad bike is missing. The next thing Aiden knew, a hand was shaking him out of a deep sleep. Kid, wake up! With effort, he raised a single heavy eyelid. The driver of the Moonlight Special stood over him. Boston, last stop, 5 more minutes, pleaded a slumbering Meg beside him. Aiden squinted out the window at the dimly lit terminal. What time is it? 4:45, the driver informed him. He seemed pleased. We're 20 minutes early. He examined them closely. That's why there's nobody here to meet you, right? Great, Meg opened a wary eye. We're early and Dad's always late. Aiden was filled with admiration. Even half asleep, his sister was right on the ball. Come on, Belinda, he told her. Let's get some breakfast. They scrambled off the Greyhound and were gone before the driver could comment on their lack of luggage. Keeping their faces down, they hurried out of the terminal. A bus station was the last place fugitives should be hanging around, but that left them in a near deserted inner city in the middle of the night. It was more than a little creepy. Concrete jungle, dark streets, shady characters. Oh, grow up, Meg scolded herself. After everything that's happened, getting mugged is the least of our worries. She pulled the crumpled paper out of her pocket. 240 East University Street, apartment 23C. I hope Aunt Jane likes an early wake-up call. Aiden frowned. Where can we find a city map at this hour? I've got a better idea. With grim determination, Meg strode out into the middle of the road, threw up her arm, and yelled, Taxi! Almost immediately, a Shamrock cab appeared out of nowhere and pulled up beside her. Where to, kid? 240 East University, Meg replied. She beckoned to Aiden. You coming? Reluctantly, he got in beside her. We've only got $18, he hissed. What if it isn't enough? He shrugged. We stole an ATV and drove it off a mountain. Why are you stressing over sipping a cab driver a couple of bucks? The ride only cost them 12, but the relief quickly turned to dismay. 240 East University Street was an enclosed mini-mall in the middle of a long block of seedy storefronts. She lives here? Meg exclaimed as the cab pulled away. The fly-split glass door was unlocked, but the stores and offices inside were empty and dark. Unit 23C was on the basement level opposite the only establishment that was open for business, a 24-hour pawn shop. Aero Travel was a tiny agency with a single desk surrounded by posters of Greek islands and Alaskan glaciers. Racks of brochures stood beside the back wall. Meg was as quick to despair as she was to action. I must have written the address down wrong. I could strangle myself. That was our only clue. No, look. Aiden pointed through the window. On the neat desk sat a brass nameplate, Jane McIntosh. She gave the hotel her work address. She's a travel agent. This is the right place. Meg had already moved on to the next disaster. Hung around the inside doorknob was a sign, closed until Monday. Aiden followed her gaze. Oh, come on, he exclaimed in consternation. Friday hasn't even started yet. How could they be closed for the weekend? It looks like she's running a one-woman show in there, Meg concluded. I guess if she's the boss and all the employees, she sets the schedule too. There was an old-fashioned phone booth outside the pawn shop. The directory was dog-eared but still intact. Jane McIntosh was not listed. Why can't anything ever be easy? Aiden lamented. This should be her house, and she's happy to see us, and Frank Lindenauer is her next-door neighbor. What are you getting so worked up about? Meg soothed. We found her. All we have to do is hang out till Monday, and she'll be here. We have $6 to our name, Meg, and no place to sleep. How can we live for 3 days on $6? We had zero when we ran away from Sunnydale, his sister reminded him. That was in the middle of Nebraska cornfield. This is a crowded city. We can't live on the street here. It's too dangerous. You're right about that, she admitted. If we're going to make it to Monday, we'll need some money, and fast. Okay, how do we get it? Not by stealing, Aiden said quickly. That leaves work, his sister decided. We'll do odd jobs. I'll do odd jobs, Aiden corrected. I can pass for older. A kid your age trying to earn money would look suspicious. Meg was incensed. What am I supposed to do? Twiddle my thumbs when I could be helping out? You've got the most important job of all, Aiden argued. It's up to you to find a hotel we can afford. By this time it was daylight and the streets were beginning to fill with early bird commuters. Aiden and Meg split a bagel and juice and sat in the small outdoor cafe, watching Boston come alive around them. Just after 7, a dusty landscaping truck towing an equipment trailer stopped at the curb. A group of 4 young men in work clothes hopped aboard the flatbed and tapped on the roof of the cab to signal that they were ready to go. The driver stuck his head out. Where's Rankin? Sick, replied one of the crew. The foreman was disgusted. He gets conveniently sick on Fridays. We've got 11 houses to do in Brookline, and we're short-handed. The worker shrugged. He said he'd try to send a replacement. Oh yeah, you can really depend on Rankin. How long are we supposed to do? How long are we supposed to wait for this replacement? All day? Aiden jumped up. Meet me here at 5, he whispered to Meg. Then he was over the wrought iron railing, across the sidewalk, and onto the trailer. Sorry I'm late. Rankin sent me. The boss regarded him dubiously. Where'd he find you, a daycare center? I start Harvard in the fall, Aiden lied defensively. Okay, college boy, the pay's $12 an hour, cash, no dental plan. Got it? Fine. It sounded better than fine. It sounded like survival, at least for one more day.